I'm done off my soapbox. I was quiet for a long time, gentlemen, but now I done got on. I feel like I'm talking too much, so I'm definitely. This is your show, Kush.
Well, it's all good, man. It's all good. Anyone else got anything to say or any questions for Dre on the soapbox?
I'm done off my soapbox, man. I apologize. I'm not trying to take over the show, but you know how I go, man.
You're touching up on some interesting things, though. You know what I mean? I mean, everything you're saying, it's something. You definitely know what you're discussing. I'm sitting back soaking up that game from it. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it. I might not be here tomorrow. We're not promised tomorrow. So whatever we do today, we got to make a difference. We got to, we got to say things that are meaningful, that from the heart. And that's kind of how I live my everyday life, because I treat every day like it's my last. So I apologize for getting on the soapbox and sound preachy, or I don't want to take up the show, but I mean, we got to talk about real issues here. I mean, the things that are going to make our generation, the next generation, move is the things that are outside the box, thinking outside that box. And I've conversed with Sean Sparks over the last week or so, and we've had some very, very intelligent, deep, in-depth discussions. And I knew I wasn't the only one thinking this way, but to meet other people with like minds like that on a consistent basis, it puts me on like a natural high. I don't need to drink. I don't need to smoke no weed or do nothing. That puts me on a natural high. Some of those conversations I had with the fans, the love, the people who purchase the books, all those people that I've interacted with, puts me on a natural high. It makes me want to wake up in the morning and live another day. And I'm sure this Pac felt the same way. That's what keeps us alive, because we feel like, the people we're interacting with is our extended family, our kids, our brothers, our sisters, or whatnot. That's how we feel, man. I'm one of those people. So, again, I don't even want to get started. I got to shut up. It's your show, Kush. Do your thing, man.
Yeah, man. It ain't like that. It's all good.
Hey, Dre. It's good to hear you explain it from your perspective, man. Don't even feel like that, man. It was good to listen to.
Right, yes. The thing about it is that we got to think outside the box, and that's, I hate to say it, but
yeah.
I get irritated when people talk about Pac being alive or being dead, because it's like, they don't really get the first of all, you're not really bringing any kind of life to the situation. Plus, I feel like they dummy down his intelligence. Pac was no dummy. Pac is a genius.
That's the main thing you got. That's the main thing you got to explain to a lot of people about Pac, man. Is he's a genius,
He was above people's heads. That's what I love about him the most. If Pac, in my personal conclusion, if he died in '96, I really don't believe he would have went to the status that he went to, because the possibility that he did survive and he was able to put out this information out there, put him to that next level, just catapult him to that next legendary level. And that's why you got a band called Tool, and me and Sean spoke about this. I haven't spoken about this publicly in a while, but I'll speak about it. I send this poem off to him speaking about Pac in my book, and it's called Maynard, My Friend. He gets the poem. He gets the Tupac Lives book. He responds to me. This is a multi-platinum band, okay? He responds to me in a song, which I knew he would. And there's a couple of forums in there. There's a couple of cats I talked about a year before that album came out. They were big-time Tool fans who got into it, and they went in the forums, and they were verifying with me, saying, yes, this man ain't lying. That song is about Drah Cenedive and Tupac Lives. If you go in there, that song's called The Pot. And Maynard of Tool is talking about Tupac being alive, but he's pissed because Maynard is a recluse. He's what's his name? Salinger, J.D. Salinger. He was the author of Catcher in the Rye. He was a recluse. Same thing with Bobby Fischer, the big-time chess player. He was a recluse. Those men were very popular in their work, but they didn't like all that attention. Okay, and so just like those men, Maynard is a recluse. He doesn't like a lot of attention. So he knew that Pac did what he did. He read the book. He agreed. He's like, yeah, he did this, but it sounds like you may be snitching on him. He kind of thought that's what I was doing. I was putting Pac on blast, but I wasn't, because I wasn't putting any details of where he was or all the little drawing the dots that they did this next, the next day. I didn't put any names out there. I just put out a lot of that basic information that a lot of people should know by now. And so he kind of was upset anyway. He responded in the song basically saying, well, he's just as guilty as the government. He's saying, well, you've raised the dead, Dre. Who you think you are, and blah, blah, blah. He kind of was pissed off, which I can understand. I'm not pissed. I'm still a fan of him. But in that song, he made a song dedicated to that situation, the book, Me and Pac. And I thought I was very impressed with that. I was, because every time he sings that song, he's got to think about me, Pac, and the book Tupac lives. So I think it's kind of funny, but at the same time, I respect him because he's a phenomenal artist, and he is deep. The band Tool is they're very deep thinkers, and their music has influenced a lot of people to read different books and so on and so forth. That's another thing about Pac was he made reading being cool. Most of the Pac fans that I run into are people who study Pac. They're big-time studiers and researchers and readers. They're very intuitive. They're very, very sharp. They're very intelligent. They think outside the box. They're not like just everybody just listen to Lil Wayne and the rest of these clowns out there. They're very deep thinkers. Every last one of them that I've come in contact with, they're very spiritual. They're not running to Christianity and a lot of these other brainwashed religions that we got out there. They're very deep thinkers, the same way Pac was. And that's the beauty of what Pac did. I can see behind him being an entertainer and all the other stuff. The man was like a New Age prophet. And there's prophets out there in our midst, and Pac is one of them. He was like a Malcolm X. Everybody knows that, And so those type of things that happens, and that's why the Volume 2 is going to go to that level as well, so people can see that how deep and in depth this man is, and what he did and what he was doing. And even if he doesn't, he doesn't come back or whatever, like he said, he can spark the minds of the people that can make a difference. Because Pac has brought a lot of people together. I was so amazed of how many Latinos follow Pac. Pac has a very, very big. I'm talking about people who barely speak English, really, really love Pac. It's funny, man. It's crazy because for years they worshiped the Virgin Mary like he was nothing. But Pac is damn near took over that. And I was very impressed with that. He has a very big following in the Latino nation.
Well, that's why.
Cremation is for people who don't have the money. Normally when people get cremated, it's for people who my aunt was just cremated. She was cremated because the burial for her was going to be too expensive, and a lot of the people that was involved, it was going to be way too expensive. And so normally cremation is for, unless it's some type of religious or some type of custom, it's not normal for people to get cremated. They had money to give him a proper burial. They did not have to cremate Tupac. I mean, that right there in itself is ridiculous, especially if you know anything about burials. You go on the funerals, you know how that whole process works. There would have been no reason for them to cremate Tupac other than just being broke. Okay? His son he supposedly died. The last thing I've very rarely, I don't know if I've ever seen an African-American woman cremate, especially her son, especially if she has anything to do with as far as finances. Furthermore, about that cremation thing, Pac was surrounded by gangbangers, and he kind of was around that lifestyle. I've very rarely seen a gangbanger. Not saying that Pac was a gangbanger, but he was affiliated with that whole thing. I don't know if I've ever seen a gangbanger cremated. That's a part of the whole thing, is that whole ritual of being in that casket. They set it all up before it happens. They say, look, this is what I want to be wearing. This is what I got to do. Y'all can come to my funeral, this and that. That's all a part of their custom, is that casket being dropped and people seeing them before they drop it in the ground. That's a part of that gang custom. And so not saying he was a gangbanger, but he definitely would have followed that code, be like, look, I want y'all to see me one last time before I leave. I really felt like Pac would have done that, especially being surrounded by that mentality. I mean, I know that's kind of going back to what we were saying, but, you know, I just want to, you know, kind of put more thought in that as well, because I was thinking about that earlier. Question for you. What is the Illuminati known for? And I'll answer for you. They're known for just what you said, symbolism. They're known for being subliminal. They're known for doing shit and you have to decode it.
Yep.
We know, we all, you know what I'm getting at with that. Basically, you know, that's what he did with the Don Illuminati. All that coded information and this and that. Again, he's saying, look, I'm going to use y'all's tactics for my own shit. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my album. I'm going to decode a lot of shit. When y'all really look at the big picture, you'll understand what I did and why I did it. You'll understand why I did it. So he used the Illuminati's own tactics to do what he had to do, which a lot of people conclude did what he had to do. And I'll always say that because given that alternative side of thinking, because a lot of people don't explore that because they're scared to explore that because, again, like I was sharing with Mr. Sparks, John Sparks, that people are afraid of, oh, I don't want to look dumb or stupid, so they'll agree with the masses. You know, if they say the sky is blue or it's red, regardless of what the facts are, if the masses are saying that, everybody else is going to say that because the fear of looking stupid or vulnerable. I'm not afraid of looking stupid. I'll tell you that in a minute.
What's the quote, Dre? That ordinary people are always deceived by the appearances and the outcome of a thing, but in the world there is nothing but ordinary people.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm not an ordinary person.
Yeah, I know, but you got, you know, he was building on that quote though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah.
that's kind of in line with what you're saying with that.
Oh, absolutely. You cannot see yourself as an ordinary person because if you are, you'll be just inside the box like the rest of them. People got to stop being afraid of stepping outside that goddamn box and think for themselves. And that's what Pac did. He was a big thinker. I respect that man for what he did.